So, some of you know that over the last few years, I wrote a book, and the book is coming out this year, which is really exciting. And the book was the latest in a series of utterly failed manuscripts that I wrote over the last 18 years. Some short stories from which I got enough rejection slips to literally wallpaper my kitchen with when I lived in Maine, until my friend told me it was psychologically not helpful for me to continue doing that. So I stopped, but I kept kind of a mental tally. You know, every time I got my little self-addressed stamped envelope back with a rejection. And what I realized was, and there's a long story here about how I came to this particular book, but I realized that I wasn't telling my truest story. I realized kind of somewhere in the back of my head, I was worried about whether this story or book would sell, about how successful it would be, about how market-worthy it was. And I tried to pretend like I didn't care. And I had gotten really good at pretending. Really good. That I didn't care if it ever sold, if I never sold a book. Until I reached a point where I really didn't care. I mean, it had been 18 years and nothing had sold. Significant had sold. And I thought, well, I'm probably never going to sell anything. And then I wrote a book. And the book's called Wild Man. And it was a very difficult book to write. It was emotionally very challenging because it was very personal. And I used characters in the book, like, you know, the kid in the book has a mother and a father who left and has friends that, you know, are somewhat similar to friends that I have. But the mother character particularly was challenging to write because it's not my mom, but I knew that she would read this book once it got bought, which I couldn't believe happened. You know, I wrote this book. It was like a journal. It was very personal. You know, as if writing a letter to one person, then all of a sudden, it's coming out. And this year, I got in the mail a box of actual books, advanced copies of this book. 10 of them. Really exciting. Yeah, really exciting. Amazing. Right, yes, it was like one of the best days ever. And, but what was really terrifying was that, well, who do you send, if you have 10 books, who do you send them to? Well, you gotta send one home, right? You gotta send one home. And I worried, I thought, oh my gosh, like what are my parents gonna think? Like, I'm 37 now, and I shouldn't be worried about this, but I was worried about it. And it kind of laid bare all the worries I had all those years about writing the true thing and having my family read it and my friends read it, and what would they think and how would they judge it and what would their opinion be. So I sent it to my mother, and she read it, and it was kind of quiet. I didn't hear from her for a few days. And she responded with this text that was like, Jeff, I really love your book. I thought, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And we had this great conversation. And I felt comfortable sharing with her, well, you know, Mom, they're going to reveal the cover for my book, next week. And she's like, that's really great news. Well, there's a package on the way for you that I think you're going to really enjoy. So I wait, and this package arrives. And I'm really kind of nervous because she sent me some messages in her. I'm like, the mother in this story seems rather familiar. She sounds like a charming and wonderful person, this kind of thing. So I get this package and I open it up, and there's 4 shirts. And I have to tell you all that my cover actually debuted today. They shared the cover, which I love. And also tonight I opened this package, and in it was my mom had printed the cover of my book on a shirt and sent it to my entire family. And it was so cool. And it just made me think, do the true thing. The people who love you will love you and understand and maybe even give you attention.